So when you taste really good food, what's one of the first things you'll ask? Can I have the recipe for that? That's so good, you know? Sometimes people will share it with you, sometimes not. It's a secret recipe. One of the questions I'm going to ask God when I go to heaven is, what are the 11 herbs and spices for Kentucky Fried Chicken, you know? So the thing with recipes is there's a funny story in my own family that my mom, who's one of 12 kids, she's the oldest girl of 12 kids, she's number 2, and her number 5 in the family, my Aunt Roseanne. My Aunt Roseanne was excited to make a pumpkin pie for the family dessert for dinner. So she was all excited as a young girl to make this pumpkin pie for everybody, and so she made it, and the big moment came. They finished dinner, and she was putting out the pumpkin pie, and then the oldest boy, my Uncle Mike, he took one bite of it, and he spit out, what? This tastes like squash. Basically what happened was she just put the canned pumpkin into the pie shell and baked it. There was no sugar whatsoever. She was kind of a key ingredient that's missing, you know, like. So we need all the ingredients to make the recipe work. So definitely sugar is a good recipe item for pumpkin pie, that's for sure. But I mention that because this weekend we're launching an important ingredient towards the recipe to what we're trying to do for parish renewal here, at Holy Trinity Parish. That we want to be a parish that's ongoing in our renewal and coming more focused on our mission of who we are. And so some of the key ingredients in this recipe is, number one, we need a vision statement. Okay, check, we got that. We need a mission statement and a vision statement. Yep, check. Now we need some core values to sort of rally around. Yep, check. We need a discipleship pathway. Okay, check. We got that now. Now, the last sort of missing ingredient is this 5-year plan, a strategic plan that we can sort of rally around to sort of guideposts for us for the next little while. So this weekend we can say, check. So now we got that ingredient and we can mix it all together. It's kind of that final piece. It's a really important part for us. So there's a handout after Mass that you can pick up and have a paper copy of it, where on the front cover it's more of a description of the why and the how of all this plan, and then on the back it's the actual plan itself. You'll see it as a nice chart mapping out the 5 years, and there's 14 goals on there that you can look at that we're trying to accomplish over this next little while. And I thought I would just mention a couple features about it. So you can pick up the paper on the way out. You can find it online or with the link on the first 5. You can watch a beautiful video that was made by our parish council chair, Michelin Gomez. It's just about a 7-minute video that you can watch on YouTube to learn more about it. So that's ways that we can kind of see what this important ingredient is to our recipe for parish renewal. And a couple key features about this 5-year strategic plan that I just want to point out is that one part is the lingo. So when you're reading through it, you're going to notice some words that I need you to recognize as, first of all, there's a lot of words that are referring to the 5 steps of our discipleship pathway, right? So you'll see like words like encounter, serve, groups, or grow. You'll see worship or, that kind of idea, right? Evangelize. When you see those words, just know, oh, yeah, they're talking about the 5 steps of the pathway. That's what that's all about. Or if you see words like, metanoia or lead or ignite or those kinds of things, that's just referring to different sort of programs or groups for youth or different things. So it's just they're just sort of the titles of those groups. So you don't have to pull out a Greek dictionary and figure it all out, But yeah, so just a couple points about the lingo. Just they're referring to the 5 steps and just some different groups that are at play in our parish. Alpha, of course, you know that. We tend to like Greek around here. So, and then another point to mention is that because it's a 5-year plan, Rome wasn't built in a day, so we've got 5 years to do this. We're not going to try and scramble and run around like maniacs trying to get all this happening in 1 year, right? So we're giving ourselves some time and setting a path, right? And so in doing that, when you see some of the goals, that you might look at a year 5 goal and you might say, well, gee whiz, why aren't we doing that in year 1? This is a great goal, It's well, it doesn't mean we are only allowed to start the goal in that year. It just means that we want to achieve it by then, right? So we can, by all means, take first steps and begin things. So whatever year it's in, that's not the year we're going to start doing it. It's the year we're hoping to kind of get it done, So we need to take first steps even now. Another feature that I wanted to point out is that, it's really been a labor of love for the parish, right? We tried to have a strategic plan and all this stuff going on, and then with the parish closures, and then with with COVID and with everything else, it's just been a real sort of difficult thing to get sort of kick-started, and so, but now that we're kind of coming out of COVID and we're, now we're all gathered here at Holy Trinity Parish, we can now take some steps in this direction. So we're beginning now. We have a fresh start. This is something to really get excited about, that we can finally do this and rally around the 5 steps of the pathway. So that's a key theme. And then in the next 5 years after that, who knows, we can then expand to maybe some different aspects of it. But right now, we really want to get this discipleship pathway up and running. And so that's one of the main themes of the 5-year plan that you'll see. So those are just some notes to make. So please definitely check it out, and either on paper or digitally or on the YouTube channel, and just because we'll be referring to it from time to time throughout the 5 years, so you kind of know why are we wanting as a parish to rally around certain things and maybe not others quite yet, because it'll give kind of a method to the madness of sort of why we're choosing to do some things and not others. It's really important for us to have this kind of focus, isn't it? Because like Jesus says in the gospel today, he kind of presents the kingdom of heaven to us right now as a vineyard that we are workers in. We're workers in his vineyard. And whether we join in right from the beginning of the morning or throughout the day or right at the tail end, we all have a role to play. And he wants to bless us in that. But we're all invited. We always want to come on board. God wants to do great things among us and in our neighborhood, around us, and in our families. And so we as a parish want to get more intentional and serious about how do we become a good parish? How do we, get more engaged, in this? So if some of us are standing around like the people at 5 o'clock kind of standing idle, and Jesus says, well, why are you still standing around? Well, they said, well, nobody hired us. And that can kind of be a situation in the parish. Some people just go to church on Sundays or do things, but they never really got involved, or really, and people say, well, why? Well, because I was never asked. And so officially right now as your pastor, I'm asking you, you're hired. Come on board. We need you in the vineyard. It's a great thing for us to be part of this, because this is so important. Right? As St. Paul says, to live is Christ and to die is gain. Right? This idea that he said to the Philippians, he was just so jazzed about this idea that he's in this win-win situation. Like as a disciple of Jesus Christ, to live is Christ and to die is gain. Like if I live, I have my mission. I know my job. I know what I'm supposed to do. I know my purpose. And for as long as I live on this earth, I want to do it. It's a win. And to die is gain, because that's where I'm headed anyway. As a disciple, I'm primarily a citizen of heaven who's got a job to do on earth, And so when I die, I finally get to go to my reward. So his fear of death, his wondering about what he's here on this planet for, was eliminated. He could walk in a certain joy and zeal, because to live is Christ, to die is gain. That's the real attitude of a mature disciple, and that's what we want to be here at this parish. We want to be mature disciples where we can speak like St. Paul and to be busy in the vineyard. We want to be missionary disciples, but we also want to help others to come on board and become themselves missionary disciples. Oh, the joy of coming into the fullness of the grace that's present within you and within me from our baptism. That's what we want to be all about. It's important for us to know the main thing of what we're here for. For a time as a toddler, I grew up in Middletown, PA, Pennsylvania, really close to Hershey, Pennsylvania. Hershey's chocolate, right? So every once in a while, if the wind was blowing just right, I could smell the chocolate. It was awesome, And you knew what the Hershey chocolate factory was all about. They make Hershey chocolate, right? If they were to suddenly start making tennis balls or car parts, you're like, well, those things are okay, but what are you guys doing? I want my Reese's peanut butter cups, I want my Hershey Kisses. So, the Hershey factory was busy making all this stuff, and we know what they're supposed to do. And so too with us. We here at this parish, we're meant to grow and make us into strong missionary disciples, taking all 5 parts of our pathway. We want to be drawing others into that as well. So if we're doing other things, it's sort of off target in some degree, right? And so we want to make sure that we're learning what these steps are, how to rally around this. Now that we've got all our ingredients, of our vision, mission, core values, discipleship pathway, and now our 5-year strategic plan, I think we're ready to rock and roll now. We're ready to make this recipe, to be busy about becoming who we're meant to be, to becoming people who can say to live is Christ and to die is gain. And may God be glorified forever. Amen.